Lining up behind them on the head of the second row, excuse me, is Kiandra Radipa. Just ever so slightly missed out on a podium yesterday. Just 100th of a second between him and Ikegami coming across the line. So he'll be out looking for vengeance as well. Try to get himself onto the podium for the first time. As we just saw Ryota Ogiwara on screen, he launches from P5, and as we saw in yesterday's race, that second row start really didn't matter so much in terms of a disadvantage, as he put himself into the whole shot coming around turn one. An absolute rocket launch from the line from Ogiwara, who's one of the fastest riders here in this class during pre-season. So we'll be expecting big things from him this year and indeed in this race. But grid for race 2 here at the Qatar Grand Prix in the Asia Talent Cup sees Mitani launch from pole ahead of Takahira and Singapong. Then it's Radipa, Ogiwara and Ikegami on row 2. Farish Hafai, Takemoto and Levi Russo make up row 3. On row 4, then we have Filipino rider Daquiguan leading Henry and Thai rider Wan Moon, while then it's Chavan, Putra and Schmidt on row 5. On the 6th row, Thai rider, Indian rider and Malaysian riders Tanachat, Vishwanath and Nakip, while propping up the grid for race 2 is Raksith Dave.
There is your grid then, the exact same grid as we saw in race 1, and the warm-up lap for race 2 is underway. As I say, conditions warmer today, a good 3-4 degrees warmer than it was yesterday. A little bit earlier in the day, of course, a couple of hours earlier, so the sun beating down on the Lusail International Circuit. It's going to be a little bit greasier out there, so the riders have just got to watch out for that. We saw them do a couple of laps on the sighting laps, coming into pit lane and then going around again to get a feel for the conditions, because they are going to be a bit different to yesterday. So the riders know what these conditions are like from the test, of course, and from practice here already this weekend. So it won't be anything new to them, but it's obviously the first time they're going to be racing in these hotter conditions this year. So interesting to see how that plays out, how that might affect the race compared to yesterday. Obviously we saw Mitani and Ogiwara clear off into the distance. For the two of them, they'll be hoping to do exactly the same, but for the chasers, they'll be hoping that the homework they'll have done overnight yesterday and this morning will help them try and keep pace with the top two. Ogiwara, of course, crashing down at turn 12. We'll be hoping to not do the same again. It was a little bit of a mistake, got to say, for the Japanese rider. Just went a little bit wide into the fast turn 12 right-hander, and down he went. So if he can get a good start, Chris, we'll be expecting him to be leading from the front or in the top group all the way through this race.
Yeah, all eyes on the number 2 of Zen Mitani and the 16 of Ryota Ogiwara. But for the other riders, I'm sure, as you said, they did their homework last night, so they'll be looking to get a good launch from the line and try and stop the two Japanese starlets from bolting out front once again. I think, what was it, a 7-second advantage Mitani crossed the line with from P1 to P2. So a good start for the rest of the chasing pack is going to be crucial to try and get him muddled up in some overtaking action. Mitani as well, he set his fastest lap of the race yesterday on lap 2. So that shows how quickly he got off the line with Ogiwara, as one of the riders runs it very, very wide. That is Ogiwara, I think, in the background, who goes very wide there coming around the final sector. But yeah, so lights out is going to be absolutely pivotal once again to this race. Mitani, Ogiwara, Takahira, they'll all be looking to bolt out front, but it's up to the likes of Singapong, Radipa, Ikegami, Farish Hafai to also get that good start and stop them from and get them involved in some of the chopping and changing of the chasing pack.
Just seeing a rider pull into pit lane, and it is Ikegami. Not sure why that is. So Ikegami has just pulled down into pit lane, the number 14. You just saw it on your screens there. The rider who finished 3rd yesterday has pulled into pit lane, so I'm not sure whether he's got a problem with his bike that he needs fixing. Interested to see what happens there, but Ikegami is either going to be starting from pit lane here or not racing at all. So early drama then, unexpected drama for the Japanese rider Ikegami, the rookie, of course, who impressed us all yesterday. So interested to see what happens with the number 14 rider. There's a spot then free on the outside of the second row, which means Levi Russo has a clearer view down into turn 1 from P9. But it is lights on and soon to be lights out for race 2 here in Lusail for the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup riders. The lights now do come on. and they go out, and it looks like, again, a good start from pole position from Mitani. Again, look at the number 16 of Ojiwara. A fantastic launch from the middle of the second row, and before they've even got into the braking zone down into turn one, Ojiwara looks like he's going to get the whole shot once again, just moves Mitani across to the outside. Nothing wrong with that, though. Exactly the same has happened as yesterday. Ojiwara, although he runs a little bit wide, will he keep P1 into turn 2? I think he might. That's Hafai coming at the inside of the number 19, but it's as you were from race 1. Ojiwara getting a brilliant launch from the middle of the second row. Mitani in second.
We may as well be watching a replay of Lights Out from Saturday's race 1, because that is a carbon copy of what happened. Ogiwara, brilliant from the second row, but also for Farish Hafai, who's launched from third row, seventh on the grid, and he is up into third position now. So Hafai is chasing that maiden podium in this class after some late disappointment yesterday.
Not sure what Ojiwara has off the start line, but 2 days in a row he's absolutely nailed the launch, so much quicker than everyone else off the line, and immediately within about 50 metres he's hit the front from the second row. Here is Ikegami then, no idea what has happened. Hopefully we get some info through to us at some point, and if we do I'll let you know, but maybe it was a mechanical issue, because if he'd started from pit lane after a penalty then he would have been further up the road already. So Ikegami, unfortunately it's going to be podium hopes over for the young Japanese rider, but let's see what he can do from there.
Yeah, he had a stunning race yesterday, and I have to give you credit. You called it before Lights Out that he would cause a problem for some of the more experienced riders, and he did stick it on P3. Looks like he's out of the running. He's out on track to get some experience at least. Unless a red flag or something comes out, I would say that is podium hopes over. But as Ogiwara now leading out front ahead of Mitani, while Richie Takahira has made his way into P3 at the expense of Farish Hafai.
Into the car park they go at turn 15. Not quite sure you're allowed to do that too many times, boys, so be careful. You can do it a couple of times before you get a warning, but already, Chris, as you rightly say, this group is much closer than it was in race 1. Takahira trying to get past Mitani, Slipstream City down the 1 kilometre long front straight. The first lap is complete here in the Age of Talent Cup. Ogiwara, though, getting a great launch out of the final corner, does hold it into turn 1. Mitani keeps P2 for now, but who is that going up the inside? It's Hafai on the number 19. A nice sweeping inside line from the Malaysian. Ogiwara again runs it wide into on the outside of turn 1.
On the inside.
Certainly was. But yeah, Chris, already this group much closer, because we saw this yesterday, the top 2 going out in front, but by this point they had a 1.52 second lead.
Yeah, exactly. Ogiwara and Mitani as we were yesterday, but it is much closer. Just a couple tenths covering the front. What is it? 6-7 riders here. So you could nearly throw a blanket over them. Ogiwara has a little peek over the shoulder just to see how much space is there. Don't worry, they're right on your tail, Ryota, so they will not be far away. As is Zen Mitani. He's just going to tuck in behind the Japanese rider while it's chopping and changing behind. Takahira settled into P3, but Farish Hafai looks like he will not stick into fourth, but be happy to stay in fourth place for much longer. So as I was saying before, it's Radipa behind Hafai, then Singapong, then Levi Russo. Then that's when we have the gap behind Russo with Dakwigan, Chavan, Putra all inside the top 10.
Yeah, Russo has got 1.1 seconds. He's already chopped a couple of tenths off on this lap to the lead group. So Russo picked up his best result in the Age of Talent Cup yesterday with a P8 finish, the young Australian. So let's see what Russo can do. Get his head down. He's going to hope these guys start fighting away so they can just slow each other down, and that might allow Russo to bridge that gap. So keep an eye on the number 6 Australian. You can see there in P7, just in the back of your picture. He's got a little bit of a gap behind him as well. So no one disturbing Russo at this moment in time. So let's hope he can get his head down as Takahira runs well wide. Again, not sure who it was on the first lap, but if it was the number 9 of Takahira, then he's got 2 warnings already for track limits. And just to let you know, the long lap penalty is down at turn 6.
Yeah, they're a little bit fond of running it wide around that corner, aren't they, Elias? But let's see, Takahira now firing it up the inside into the slipstream, but he won't get ahead of Zen Mitani here. It looks like they're going to be late on the brakes than the Japanese number 9. And it is once again Ogiwara leading across the line. It's not often we see that on this type of machinery where slipstream plays a huge effect. We see some arms and hands waving about there as well. But Ogiwara led across the line and leads into the first corner and out of the first through the first sector. I'll put my teeth in eventually, Elliot, don't worry.
That'd be good, Chris. Yeah, Ojiwara then must just get an unbelievable launch out of the final corner. Hafai sticking it up the inside of Takahira. Aggressive stuff from the late Malaysian. He lost a podium place on the final lap yesterday. Did the number 19. Lost a podium in Malaysia last year at his home race. So he'll be hungry for his debut podium in the Asian Talent Cup. He's sitting in third place so far, and he's looking the most aggressive, I would say, out of the lead 6 so far, but plenty of time to go, of course. And as we've mentioned already, this is a much tighter group at the front, so this is good news for Hafai, Takahira, Mamadifa, and the others as well, trying to chase behind Russo, of course, as well, trying to bridge that gap. Not good news if you're Ojiwara or Zen Mitani. It was much more comfortable for them yesterday, but not this time around.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've a lead group of 6 riders here, and we've got multiple overtaking spots here at Losail International Circuit, so there's going to be plenty of chopping and changing. As we have a little look, I thought Takahira was going to try a little move up the inside of Hafai, but the Malaysian a little later onto the brakes and holds on to P3 for the moment. Yeah, I can see this chopping and changing. So many overtaking hotspots here at Losail. I think whoever's watching, the fans who have come in a little bit earlier, are in for a treat here.
Yeah, the grandstands are filling up across us from the main pit building as we go into the final corner for the 3rd time this race. Takahira didn't run wide that time around, so keeping it on the straight and narrow this time. Let's see then if anyone can try and get into the slipstream of the number 16 and try and make a move into turn 1. 9 laps to go then here in race 2. Hafai sets the fastest lap of a race, a 2:10.3. There he is on the number 19 machine, yellow helmet up the inside of Ojiwara, brakes late, and he is going to dive bomb down into turn 1. Is he going to get it stopped, hooked up on the apex? Yes, he is. So the Malaysian Hafai takes the lead for the first time in 2024, and in race 2 we have a change of the lead for the first time. Ojiwara demoted to P2.
Yeah, fascinating coming over the line, as we had 3 or 4 different lines down the front straight there. It's Hafai who wins out ahead of Ogiwara. We saw Radipa then run the wider left line, but it didn't quite pay off for him, with Richie Takahira maintaining a more central line as he loses a position now to Radipa, and that is P4 gone the way of the Thai rider, or the Indonesian rider, excuse me, with the Japanese rider dropping back to P5 as Takahira looks to bite back on the number 7, but he just can't quite get it up the inside coming around turn 6. So Hafai out front ahead of Ogiwara, with Zen Mitani now occupying the final podium place.
At this moment in time, it doesn't look like Levi Russo can keep tabs on these riders. He's just over 2 seconds adrift through the second split on this lap. So despite this battling away, Russo of course doesn't have the slipstream to help him as well. This is going to help. Obviously these guys are going to lose time with each other battling away. They're not battling too much at this moment in time. That's going to come later on in the race, but the slipstream effects will carry them all, apart from the race leader, down the front straight. Russo, as you can see in the background there, is doing it all on his own, so a tough job ahead for Russo. But if he stays where he is in P7, that will be an equal, well, a best result. Sorry, he finished 8th yesterday, so that will be a best result for the Australian. But the focus is of course on the front, and Ogiwara has hit the front once again. Mitani back up in P2, and in half a lap Hafai has gone from P1 to P3. That's just how quick it can change in the Asia Talent Cup.
Yeah, the pace is really heating up now on this 3rd lap, as with 9 to go, as the top 6, 5 of the top 6 have set personal best sector 3s. Now we come across the line to complete another lap, or we'll see how they did in sector 4, but it's Ogiwara Mitani now who look like they might just want to bolt a little bit, but the number 19 of Farish Hafai dives up the inside. Look at the slipstream come into play there. Brilliant from the Malaysian rider, as Radipa then takes the inside line as well. Let's see.
Big crash down at turn 1.
Hafai and Ogiwara are gone.
Hafai down, tagged Ojiwara with him as well. Disaster for the race lead, Ojiwara. That's 2 DNFs in a row. No fault of his own there. I'd love to see a replay of that. He's clearly annoyed as the young Japanese rider. Hopefully Hafai is okay as well. Good to see Ojiwara back up on his feet. That's not what we wanted to see down at turn 1. Got a little bit too close for comfort, and Hafai went down, tagged the back of the number 16 of Ojiwara. That's great to see. Looks in a little bit of pain, of course, but great to see Hafai back up on his feet on the number 19 rider. But disaster then down at turn 1 with just under 8 laps to go. Farish Hafai was looking good, was looking aggressive, but yeah, just made a little bit of mistake down there at turn 1. A heavy crash down there. You don't want to go down anywhere, of course, but into the braking area of turn 1 is the fastest part of this circuit. Let's get a replay then, Chris. Ojiwara, of course, on the outside, the number 16. Hafai
just cuts the nose off him.
Yeah, Ojiwara, of course, trying to dive across and make the apex, thinking it's all clear. Hafai a bit later on the brakes, and the two just come together, and unfortunately down the road they go. Yeah, difficult one to...
I don't think that's going to be the last time we hear about this incident. Thankfully, both are okay. They look a little maybe worse for wear. But yeah, it looks like the number 16 of Ogiwara is cutting across, cuts the nose off of Hafai, who was taking an aggressive central line and just couldn't hit the brakes hard enough to avoid collision there. But back out front then, it is Richie Takahira who has profited the most from that, as Radipa moves into second place and Zen Mitani in third. But Takahira, where are you going? You're gone very wide there, and it's cost him the lead to Radipa.
Yeah, that's 3 times now. Takahira at the same corner down at turn 15 was not just run. There's running wide, and there's running as wide as Takahira is going, unfortunately, at this time. So I think in a few moments' time we're going to have a warning coming up for Takahira, a track limits warning, that is, of course, as they come up then to turn 1. 7 laps to go. It's a lead group now of 4. Just looking at the gap back to Russo. No, he's not closed in, unfortunately, as the young Australian. So it looks like it's these 4 who are battling out for the victory. If it stays it is, one of them is going to be a little bit disappointed to finish off the podium, but an opportunity knocks then for these 4 riders. Mitani, of course, going for 2 wins from 2. Ojiwara and Hafai incidents reviewed after the race. Difficult one to try and get teeth stuck into there, Chris. A bit of a racing incident. You'd say Hafai probably the rider at fault most for not probably expecting Ojiwara to cut across as soon as he did. A little bit later on the brakes, but we'll see what happens after that. But it is a lead group of 4, and that is unfortunately the 21 of Takamoto who has gone down. Takamoto finished 7th yesterday, was in the fight for the podium, so Rintaro Takamoto, the young Japanese rookie, has unfortunately crashed out.
Yeah, disappointment for the Japanese rider there. Not quite sure what happened to him, but it looks like he may have just tucked it and gone into the gravel. But yeah, absolute disaster for Ogiwara. One of the preseason favourites, fastest rider in preseason by a country mile as well. And come out of Qatar, 2 races with 0 points. It's... Thankfully for him, he can look at it as it's early in the season and it's not, let's say, critical towards his championship hopes, but he will need some big performances and a bit of luck go his way over the next rounds to really drag himself back into it, particularly with Zen Mitani taking the maximum yesterday. He's riding in podium positions here inside the top 4 and set for another big podium, point haul.
Yeah, unfortunately, Takahira goes wide again. I'm not sure what's going on down there at turn 15, as he nearly tags the back of Mitani going into the braking zone for the final corner as well. So yeah, Takahira clearly struggling with something down at turn 15. That's 4 times now he's ran wide. So we're going to keep an eye on that. If we get any track limits warnings, we'll of course let you know. But the worst thing for me for Ojiwara is he's now got to wait until September to get back on an ATC machine and try and get his championship charge back on track. So that's a long time to have a double DNF at the first race when you come into the season with such high hopes. Like you say, Chris, he was 8/10 quicker than anyone in pre-season testing. Of course, didn't have the qualifying he would have wanted, but led the race straight away from the second row of the grid in both races, and in both races, one through his own fault, you could say, and the second one through not really any fault of his own. So a huge disappointment from Ojiwara here in Qatar. He's got to wait until September now to try and get his championship charge back on track. But the main thing is that both riders did look to be okay. And of course, we do have a fascinating battle out front. 5.5 laps to go, and it is Radipa who is now leading the way.
Yeah, you could throw a blanket over the front 4 here. Radipa currently holds the lead. He's trying to build up a little bit of an advantage out front. I think it's about just over 0.2 of a second. But as we've seen so far, that probably will not last, particularly coming down the front straight, which we will see with the slipstream coming into play. That's Richie Takahira then, just a little bit behind him. Zen Mitani, yesterday's race winner, cruising in P3, while the eldest rider on the grid, Thai rider Kiatasik Singapong, narrowly missed out on podiums yesterday. He'll be looking to get up and running in the trophy cabinet for 2024.
Certainly will be. Two of these riders are looking for their first podiums in the Asia Talent Cup, Singapong and Radipa. And the other two, of course, Mitani, a winner yesterday, Takahira, a winner in the Asia Talent Cup already. So 2 experienced riders versus 2 young rookies, a tantalising prospect as we head nearly into the final 5 laps of the race. They're boxing pretty clever here so far in the lead group. They know there's a long way to go. They don't want to be sort of squabbling with each other too early. I'm pretty sure Mitani will feel pretty comfortable after yesterday's win. He's probably just keeping his cards close to his chest at this moment in time in the race on the number 2. But it is now 5 laps to go in race 2 here in Qatar. The last 5 laps before a long break across the summer before we head to India. As Mitani then, is he going to go for 2 for 1 at the first corner? Yes, he is. Is he going to hold it? He's going to run a little bit wide, but he is going to hold it. Mitani, a great move down at turn 1.
Yeah, you could see that coming, the double slipstream coming into play there as he fired it up the inside, got it late on the brakes and parked it in front of Takahira. Radipa then led over the line. He's dropped into 3rd position. And is this where we see Mitani display his pace? 7 seconds he had to spare yesterday. It's not been that comfortable today. He's got the 4 riders, as you said, boxing clever, but it looks like we might just start to see a move from the sophomore Japanese rider. Keep an eye on the number 2. Can he open up a gap? Richie Takahira, you can see, is looking menacing just behind him, and in 3rd position is Radipa, but just keep an eye on number 4, the number 20 in 4th position as well. Singapong, he's just settled, riding a settled race and maybe just waiting for a mistake out front or an opportunity to strike.
There's your live championship standings then. Mitani, as things stand, picking up a maximum 50 points from the opening 2 races of the season. Takahira in 2nd place, picking up 2 second places, only 10 points away, but going to predict that might change a little bit in the last 5 laps. A crucial part of the race coming up, Chris. Mitani hits the front, and as you say, he'll be comfortable and confident that maybe he can break clear. But as I say that, Takahira dives up the inside, and then the number 7 of Radipa dives up the inside at turn 12. That's a fast place to pick a move, but he's done it expertly. And just like that, we were saying Mitani might want to be breaking clear, and in a couple of seconds, he's gone from P1 to P3.
Yeah, it's a very different race to yesterday where Mitani ran it clear out front, and then we had a big podium battle of a group of 5-6 riders chopping and changing. This has been a little bit more settled since the major incident between Hafai and Ogiwara, but now it looks like it's just livening up a little bit, and it's going to be an entertaining final 4 laps here. So it's Radipa leading over the line. This is where Mitani struck last time with the double slipstream effect. He might just be a little bit too far behind to make it count this time, but let's see if Takahira can park a move up the inside of the Indonesian as Mitani takes a wider line. Well, maybe I spoke too soon. No, Mitani is too far away, but it is Takahira who takes the advantage now with just under 4 laps to go.
Indonesian fans have a new number 7 to cheer on in the Asia Talent Cup. They, of course, cheered on Veda Pratama last year. 9 wins Pratama won in 2023 on his way to claiming the title. And this is the battle for 5th place now. So this is involving Putra, Chaban, Dakigan, Russo. Henry's in there as well. So a couple of Australians battling away in this group for 5th place. 10 seconds down on the leaders, but this is another fascinating fight. This is, though, where we're going to focus our attention. It's still Radipa leading the way on the number 7. As I say, a new Indonesian rookie in this class, and he's looking good, isn't he, Chris?
Yeah, as you mentioned, we've seen the number 7 out front before in the Asia Talent Cup, and Radipa, I tell you what, just his 2nd race is this? Well, first year as a full-time rider. He had a few appearances last year, but he's looking very much at home as he sticks it up the inside of Richie Takahira.
Yeah, nice little slow-mo shot down at turn 2 here at the Losail International Circuit. It's such a brilliant layout for motorcycle racing, one of the best on the calendar, that's for sure. 3.5 laps to go, though, here in race 2. It's still Radipa leading the way. Takahira, a very, very close 2nd indeed. This is where he picked Hafai's pocket yesterday to climb into P2. Mitani in 3rd, and Singapong on the number 20 in 4th place. Any one of these riders can win. Any one of these riders can stand on the podium, but as things stand, as I mentioned earlier, one of them could be left disappointed. 3 laps to go nearly, 1 corner left. Will it all come down to the final corner in a few minutes' time? I'm betting my bottom dollar that it will, but let's see what unfolds in the final 3 laps. Radipa Leading the way still on the number 7, Takahira tucking up right in the slipstream. Is he going to try and make a move down at turn 1 like he did last time around? He's got a good run out of the final corner as Takahira pulls up alongside Radipa, coming up into the braking zone down into turn 1. Who's last of the late breakers? It looks like it's just going to be Takahira who shoves it at the inside of the number 7 and takes the lead.
Yeah, wash, clean, rinse, repeat for Takahira. I think that's the 3rd time in a row he's got in behind. Radipa coming over the line and taking the advantage coming out of turn 1. So it's a matter of who wants the lead coming out of that final corner. We've seen some amazing final corner battles across all classes here before, and it looks like we're set for another one now. Radipa has got a few opportunities here to maybe nick back into the lead, but at this stage, Elliot, is he maybe better off letting Takahira set the pace out front and making his move later on?
Yeah, potentially, Chris. Takahira, obviously the more experienced rider out of the two of them. It probably won't do him any harm to try and follow Takahira. He's sat behind Takahira for a while in this race, of course. Doesn't look like he wants to sit behind Takahira, though, does he, Radipa? Looks like he wants to be leading from the front of it, of course. Unlike years gone by, the first time we saw it last year, the finish line has been moved back down towards turn 16 here at the LSAL International Circuit. Before, you wanted to probably not lead if you're in a group and get some slipstream and slingshot your way to the finish line, but nowadays here in LaSalle, you probably want to be leading out of the final corner, because if you get a good run, there's not enough time for riders behind to get into the slipstream really and overtake you. So I think this is going to be a fierce battle down to the final corner. They all know that they want to be leading out of that final corner, because if they do get a good run, it looks like they're going to take the checkered flag first. But Takahira then, he's strung together a nice half lap here since taking the lead down into turn 15. We've seen him have a few problems down here, but for the last few laps, he's strung it all together. And as I say that, he runs wide once again, does Takahira, so trying to carry a little bit too much speed there. We saw him look behind. He had a face full of the riders, trying to probably see if he'd pulled any gap. Seeing that he didn't, maybe just tried to carry, as I say, too much speed down into turn 15 once again. Runs wide, but he does hold the lead, and with 2 laps to go, it is Takahira leading the way.
Yeah, let's see how slipstream comes into effect here. Takahira, Radipa's gone ahead out in the wide left. Mitani and Singapong took a different line, but they still slot into 3rd and 4th position. This time it's Radipa who comes out ahead of Takahira in turn 1 with just under 2 laps to go. So I have to say, Zen Mitani sitting in 3rd position, he's almost been suspiciously quiet, Elliot. I'm just waiting for him to make his move to try, and he's going to want a 25 points and a race victory here to make it the perfect start here at, let's say, the International Circuit.
He has been suspiciously quiet. I couldn't have put it better myself, Chris, on the number 2 machine. Just watching the 2 out front, Radipa and Takahira take chunks out of each other as Takahira dives at the inside down at turn 5 at the top of the circuit. This is down into turn 6, a popular passing manoeuvre here at the sharp left-hand hairpin, but Mitani, yeah, keeping his cards close to his chest, just eyeing out the competition in front of him. Don't forget about Singapong as well on the number 20. He's been sat there pretty much all race long, knows exactly where these riders are quick, maybe where he has the advantage on the trio ahead of him. So I'm going to be interested to see. 1.5 laps to go, the gloves are off now. This is where it really matters. The riders are all going to be wanting to get to the front, and if they've got anything in hand, as Mitani dives up into P2 from 3rd place. Radipa demoted to 3rd place. Is this where Mitani pulls the pin? Is this where he's going to try and take the race lead and pull clear with 1.5 laps to go?
Yeah, we just mentioned it. Now it looks like the young Japanese rider is making a move, but here comes Radipa back up the inside. Youngest rider on the grid, just 14 years old, Elias. He's showing plenty of urgency and, well, lots of racecraft beyond his years, but it's chopping and changing 2nd and 3rd. This might just play into Takahira's hands out front as he looks to open up a gap, but it is Radipa who's going to try sink his teeth into the rear tyre now of the Japanese rider Takahira.
Love that from Radipa. Didn't want Mitani to get to the front and lead, and he just bit straight back. That's exactly what you got to do in a battle. Once you get overtaken, the sooner you can get back, the better. But it is coming around the final corner for the penultimate time. Takahira leading the way onto the final lap from Radipa in the slipstream, pulling up to the inside. Mitani in 3rd, Singapong in 4th. Any one of these 4 riders can win. It's 4 abreast down into turn 1 on the final lap. Takahira on the inside. Mitani, is he going to lead into the final corner? I think he is. That's a very close between the 2 Japanese who are down in turn 1. Mitani hangs it around the outside, though. Takahira has to settle for 2nd place for now.
That's brilliant from Mitani. He's timed that to perfection. Now he's got the lead. Takahira, Radipa and Singapong, they will have more opportunities. There's about 5 more overtaking hotspots. The first will be at turn 4 if they can get close enough. Then turn 6, perhaps their best chance, while we're looking at turn 10, turn 12 as well as turn 16. So where will it come, Elias?
Yeah, good question, Chris. Plenty of opportunities. Here's one of them, turn 6. As you mentioned, Mitani, though, late on the brakes. No room through for Takahira, Radipa or Singapong for now. Singapong just running wide there on the exit. That's going to be a track limits warning on the last lap, and he knows it. A little bit of a shake there. Takahira then dives up the inside at turn 7. What a move, a block pass down into turn 7. The 2 Japanese riders, a little bit of contact there, but Takahira then, what a move. He now leads the race.
I didn't earmark turn 7 as one of the overtaking hotspots, but that didn't matter to Richie Takahira. Brilliant move to get ahead of Mitani. And now, will the Japanese winner from yesterday have anything up his sleeve to come back? Well, he's going to try fire around the outside here. Is he going to make that stick? If he does, that's brilliant.
That's close.
But that's going to play into the hands of Radipa, who fires up the inside now, 3 abreast, and it's Radipa who's come out best from there.
Oh, Mitani hangs it up the inside of Takahira at turn 12. That's a fantastic move. They forgot about Radipa concentrating on themselves, and Radipa said, thank you very much, I'm coming through to take the race lead. A couple of corners left, they fling it through turn 14. This is turn 15, the penultimate corner. Takahira lunging up the inside of Mitani. That's close, but not close enough. So then, one final corner to go. Who ran wide there? I think Mitani was on the red paint. We'll have to see at the end of the race, but coming into the final corner then, Mitani hangs it up the inside. Can't quite do it. Radipa then, is he going to win his first race in the Asia Talent Cup? It's all about getting a good run out of the final corner, trying to weave out of the slipstream. Is it going to be Radipa? It is! Radipa wins on the number 7 for Indonesia here in Losail. What a race from the top 4. What a race from the rookie. A fine way to start his rookie campaign here in race 2 in Losail. And this is the battle a little bit further down for 5th place. It looks like it's going to be Ricky Henry, is it? Yes, it is. Ricky Henry, the Australian on the number 12 machine. That's a brilliant ride from the young Australian to finish up in P5. A brilliant result for Ricky Henry. Loads of riders in that gaggle coming inside the top 10. Whew, Chris, catch your breath after that. What a final lap we retreated to. Plenty going on. Just want to earmark the final, the penultimate corner. A couple of riders, I think, ran wide if my eyes didn't deceive me, so we're just going to keep an eye on that. This is the number 16 of Ojiwara. A disappointing race, of course, for the pre-season title favourite, some would say, and this is Ikegami as well. So 2 of the top 6 on the grids coming around the final corner now to complete their race outside of the points, unfortunately, for the Japanese duo. Ikegami on the podium yesterday. Ojiwara led both races and unfortunately crashed out in different circumstances.
Yeah, huge credit to both Ogiwara and Ikegami for, pretty disastrous races, but they've gone back out and completed the full race. That's going to be a valuable experience for both of them as we head out of Qatar and towards the latter half of the season, which is quite a few months away, but still important. But it's all about the number 7 from Indonesia once again in the Asia Talent Cup. This time it's not Veda Pratama, it's Kiandra Radipa. What a stunning win. His maiden podium, his maiden victory in the Asian Talent Cup, and what a way to do it.
Brilliant stuff from Radipa. Indonesia, you have a new star to cheer on in the Asia Talent Cup. I'm sure you were a little bit worried about Veda Pratama going on to pastures new in the Red Bull Rookies Cup, but we have a new number 7 from Indonesia to talk about. This was Takahira and Mitani getting very close. A great move, as we said, from Takahira down at turn 12. This was the run out of the final corner. Radipa getting his head down behind the bubble, just about hanging on to P1. As we said earlier, Chris, if the finish line was back to where it was a couple of years ago, it might have been a different result, but it's not, and the riders knew that. What a win.
I tell you what, he was out of the seat before he crossed the line, and it nearly cost him in celebrations. Don't celebrate that early, but he got away with it this time. The youngest rider on the grid, and what a stunning result for him. The number 7 from Indonesia missed out on the podium yesterday by just 100th of a second. Very little in it, as Ikegami pipped him to P3. No mistakes this time around. No one's going to pip him this time, as he took victory ahead of yesterday's race winner Zen Mitani, who takes a very impressive 45 points back with him to Japan from the Qatar round, while Richie Takahira once again is on the podium.
Certainly is a double podium to start Takahira's year. He'll be pleased with that. He'll of course be disappointed not to pick up a race victory, but 2 podiums at the start of the season is a job well done for Takahira. A good start to his year. A very good start as well for Zen Mitani. He'll have been hoping, of course, to make it 2 wins from 2, but he had a little bit more of a battle on his hands this time than he did yesterday, didn't he? A runaway race winner in race 1 after Ojiwara crashed, but it isn't to be this time around. We saw that so often last year, didn't we, Chris? Not necessarily the riders who were quickest and had superior pace in race 1 can carry that over into race 2. It's strange how these things work. Mitani 7 seconds clear of the chasing pack yesterday, but couldn't quite manage the victory today. Radipa, congratulations, you are a race winner in the Asia Talent Cup. 4 tenths splitting the top 4. That's exactly how we like it.
Yeah, another superb instalment of the Asia Talent Cup, and what a way to start race day here at the Qatar Grand Prix. Had us on the edge of the seats, and hopefully Moto 3, Moto 2 and MotoGP counterparts have been paying attention of how to entertain, because that was a super watch.
Yeah, great way to start Super Sunday here at the Losail International Circuit. Plenty of racing action to come, of course, in Moto 3, Moto 2 and MotoGP. But yes, what a way to get the juices flowing, Chris, out of our first race day of the season. Of course, the second race day for these guys, and unfortunately, we're going to have to wait until September at the Grand Prix of India to watch these guys back in action again. That's a long wait, unfortunately, but it's just how it is. The riders who have been here in years gone by, not last year, but the year before, especially, there's only, I think, Farish Hafai, who's now into his 3rd season of Asian Talent Cup action. That's the way it always was, of course. Losail, the spiritual home of the first round of the season in MotoGP, and then there's a long wait until we get to the Asian Tour of the season. So a long wait for these riders to get back on these machines, but for the riders who have stood on the podium a couple of times and won races like Radipa and Mitani, Takahira, of course. Singapore, unfortunately, just missing out again. It feels harsh that you finish 4 tenths off the win and don't stand on the podium, but that's just the way the cookie rumbles, unfortunately, in the Asia Talent Cup. The race-winning overtake that happened just before coming out of the turn 10 hairpin, sorry. This was turn 12, where Takahira dived up the inside of Mitani, but they were battling away, weren't they, Chris, on the exit, sort of fighting between themselves, and forgot that there were 2 of the riders behind them.
Yeah, exactly. It was absolutely super move from Radipa, who just kind of snuck in unnoticed as Mitani and Takahira went toe-to-toe. So here are the final results. Kiaja Radipa from Indonesia is your race winner, with Zen Mitani and Richie Takahira on the podium. Kiaja 6 Singapore once again just misses out, while it's Ricky Henry who takes 5th ahead of Sarthak Chavan, the Indian rider recording his best in the Asia Talent Cup. Levi Russo, Ramaputra, Alfonsi Quigan inside the top 10 as Archie Schmidt, I should say, takes P10. Then it's a double thigh riders. Wanmoon and Tanachad ahead of Vishwanath, while then Nakib and Raksit Dave complete the point scores. Ogiwara and Ikegami fell behind, but they did see the checkered flag after some early disturbances, while Rintaro Takamoto and Farish Hafai did not see the checkered flag after some crashes.
Race 2 results then, and here is the Riders' Championship after the first 2 races of the season. Zen Mitani leading the way with a P1 and a P2, a great weekend for the young Japanese rider. He's 7 clear of Radipa, the 2 riders who have won races, the top 2 in the standings as things stand heading to India in a few months' time. Takahira, good start to his season in P3, a couple of podiums. Singapore, very consistent up inside the league groups here this weekend. He is in P4. Chavan, good start for the Indian. His home race, of course, coming later on in the season. Him and Levi Russo a lot together on 17 points. Ikegami, unfortunately, didn't see much of Ikegami today. Have to try and find out what the problem was at the start of that race that ruined his second outing here in Qatar, because Ikegami, a debut podium finisher in race 1, we were very much looking forward to seeing how he got on, but unfortunately is only 16 points away from the opening races of the season. Ricky Henry Dakigan and Schmidt round out your top 10 in the standings, as I say, before a summer break for us, Chris, in terms of Asia Talent Cup action before we get to India. A long way to wait, of course. We've got plenty more to look forward to between them in the Junior GP, where we see some of these riders racing as well. And of course in MotoGP, Moto2, Moto3 and Moto E. So we're not going to be bored by any means, but it is a shame that we have to wait so long to see these riders back on track.
Yeah, absolutely. But I suppose when it does come round again after the Indian GP, they come thick and fast. So that will be an exciting watch. And we'll look forward to being back with you as well, 2 great races here in Qatar as we see the final podium from the weekend in the Asia Talent Cup take their place. Richie Takahira followed by Zen Mitani, but your race winner from Indonesia, Kiandra Radipa. Not for the first time, and certainly not for the last time, we're going to hear Indonesian Raja play out across a motorcycle track, Elliot.
Certainly not. We heard it 9 times in total last season, and I've got to say it's quickly become one of my favourite national anthems. If you've not heard it before, if you're new to the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, then do look forward to the Indonesian national anthem, because it is an absolute belter, if I do say so, and admit myself, it is one of my favourites already. 2 trophies in the locker for Mitani already. As I say, a great way for him to start his sophomore season in the Asia Talent Cup. But it is not 2 race winners trophy, because the second one of the weekend goes to the young Indonesian Radipa. What a race from the number 7, as we do get set now for the race winners national anthem from Indonesia.
Please, your respect for the national anthem of the winning rider, the national anthem of Indonesia.
See what I mean? It's an absolutely fantastic national anthem, and great to see as well Radipa singing his heart out on the podium there. That is exactly what we love to see, the passion, of course, for winning a race and singing the national anthem. Fantastic from the young Indonesian. Pose for a photo, and then, as I say, they will go back to the drawing boards, debrief the race, and then eagerly wait, I'm sure. It's a painful wait for us, but it's going to be even more painful for these riders to not sit on their bikes for a few months. But here is the highlights then of what we've just seen in race 2. Zen Mitani starting from pole position once again. Got a good launch. Didn't get the good launch he would have wanted, because Ojiwara from the second row of the grid got the whole shot once again, just like he did in race 1. And then a lead group of 6 riders quickly formed at the front, leaving behind the likes of Levi Russo, unfortunately couldn't quite tag on to the back of this group. Faris Hafai leading the way in the early exchanges as well. This was down at turn 1. We saw plenty of action there in the opening few laps, but the lead was changing lap by lap, corner by corner. It was very, very close racing and exciting racing here, as always is in the Asia Talent Cup. Slipstream City down the front straight, the 1 kilometre along front straight, but this drama after a few laps. Ojiwara leading the race, tipping it into turn 1. Hafai eager to try and climb up into the podium places, just left his braking a little bit late and down they went. Thankfully both riders are up on their feet and look to be relatively okay, but this left us with a lead quartet, and this was on the final lap. Radipa on the number 7 machine, picking the pockets of Mitani and Takahira, the 2 Japanese riders, fighting it away for P2 and P3. And did he hold it to the line, Radipa? Yes, he did. Indonesia have a new winner in the Asia Talent Cup. Radipa, the rookie, winning his 2nd ever race in the Asia Talent Cup. A fantastic start to the season here in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. Thank you for joining in. We will be back with you in a few months' time over in India. But for now, enjoy the rest of your day. See you soon.